I want to commend all of you guys that are here today. Personal development is it's something that I think a lot about, something I work on because I have to at home. My wife demands a lot of me. She likes a challenge. That's why she married me. So I'm having to rise up to those expectations. So I do believe in personal development. Investing in yourself is important, and events like this can be beneficial if that you apply what you learn here, and that's the biggest thing. You can come out of here so pumped up, ready to run through a wall, and then you get that first email and you get back into your rut and you kind of do your thing. If you want this to have any kind of value to you, you got to apply even the smallest little thing and let that snowball. So with that was the secretary's remarks. Now here's Andy Barber's remarks. I'm talking about finding your passion and why. I did not choose this topic. I figured it was a prompt, so I kind of sat down when I could in between evacuations and sat down to reflect on what this meant to me. And if we're being honest, I'm in between passions right now. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but I'm going to talk about my time as project manager, or just my time in general, about the Ohio River Bridges project. How many of y'all know what the Louisville, Southern Indiana Ohio River Bridges project is? All right, 2 of you? Great. For those that don't know, it is, let me get into that. I was on that job for 8 years, and it was an incredible 8 years for many, many reasons. It pushed me to a level I never thought I would achieve, certainly standing here today. So many days I was operating out of my comfort zone, still am, and I dealt with fear on a daily basis, which most of us do anyway, whether you realize it or not. We're all we're having to confront fear in some form or fashion. And that's fear of public speaking, which I don't really have too much anymore. I do love this stuff. But Matt Bullock will tell you, when I first showed up on the job, the one stipulation I had was, I don't want to public speak. He said, okay. There's the fear of humiliation, which I still have that. Fear of failing, I still have that. Dealing with multi-million-dollar decisions, whether you're going to make a right decision or wrong decision, you know, that fear, that pressure. Dealing with the media. They can be a tool, or they can work against you. And cultivating that relationship and understanding and use of that tool. That was a lot of pressure and some fear there. Lots of conflict, good conflict and bad conflict, but there was daily, regular conflict on the project. And this may have been my biggest fear, dealing with a team of people that were so much smarter than me and having to lead them. That challenged me more than anything. And so being in that environment pushed me harder than I could have anticipated. And it stretched me. And I hope you guys are looking for those opportunities too. And if I hadn't loved it, if I didn't love it, it would have consumed me. It would have run me out. And I guess I'm a weirdo, but I really liked it. And I think that's what kept me coming back. And it wasn't until I was brainstorming for this speaking prompt that I really kind of put all this stuff down and kind of digested a little bit. So here it is. So for the Louisville, Southern Indiana Ohio River Bridges project, it's a $2.6 million project. It was 20 years in the making when we started with construction. It's it comprises of an interchange in downtown Louisville and a bridge, and a bridge and a tunnel on the east end of Jefferson County. I-64, I-65, I-71 all coming together in downtown Louisville, where my wife drives daily, so the pressure's on there too, along with 250,000 other vehicles. And having to maintain traffic through all of that. It was going to be tolled. It is tolled, but at the time, you know, imagine how popular that was to reintroduce tolling back into the Commonwealth. We had everyone excited to do that, of course. And we also had our partners. Do we have anybody in here from Indiana? Good. So our partners north of the river, with their Hoosier hospitality. We had Indiana at the table with us, and my counterpart, Ron Hustis, was fantastic. Of all the Hoosiers, he's my favorite. And we also have anybody from FHWA? So FHWA was, I know, but you all know them, so it'll get back to them. They were great on the job. And so they were partners as well too. So we had that dynamic. And when it came time to deliver the project, right, we got everything designed. We're going out. We're gonna procure a couple teams. Kentucky had the lead on the downtown crossing. So that's the interchange where my wife drives. That's the new bridge across the Ohio River, and that's some work in southern Indiana. And Indiana had the east end. That's Gene Snyder extended through a tunnel, a cable stay bridge across the river, and connection up there in southern Indiana. They were supposed to be done before us, and it was a little bit cheaper, and they were going to do a P3. We were doing design build. That's just kind of giving you some context. I wanted to beat them so bad, and we weren't supposed to. We were supposed to finish after them. You know, if we'd finished after them, we would have been doing our job. But I figured we could probably beat them if we put our mind to it. So that became a passion of mine. Make sure I don't lose my spot here. Okay, so before I get into all that, got in the job in 2008. I was a resident engineer in Fayette County in the Fayette County crew, where Tim Sharp was my boss for a little bit, and my wife Jennifer, she finished law school. She was getting a job up in Louisville, so I was moving with her. We just got married. And I knew I was going to be working in Louisville, or at least I knew I was going to be working in District 5. I hoped it was Jefferson County. I hoped it was in Louisville. But that's where I was headed. And Bill Julick's daughter, Corinne, was working with us at District 7 at the time. And I'd overheard her mention that, hey, my dad's looking for some help on the Bridges project. And I said, do you think he'd mind if I gave him a call? And she said, let me check. So just hearing one little potential spot on a job I knew nothing about, but I knew I'd be working in Louisville, and I knew it'd be interesting to say the least. I'm kind of surprised actually that I jumped on that opportunity, but I was desperate. I needed to know where I was landing. And so since that fateful phone call, I'd served as deputy project manager with Gary Valentine, and ultimately project manager through construction. And so that was the job. So my passion at that time was being the project manager. I identified with it. I was the project manager, or I was on the Bridges project. I identified with it. My family identified me with it. My wife would introduce me as, well, this is Andy Barber. This is my husband. He's project manager for the Ohio River Bridges project. And as you can imagine, they got lots of oohs and ahs and lots of yeah, well, everyone was so impressed. I mentioned wanting to beat Indiana. I was passionate about that. I was passionate about us doing a good job on our portion of the project that Kentucky and its team could deliver when we weren't expected to deliver as quick as our counterparts over there. It wasn't really a competition, but it really was. I wanted to deliver on time and on budget. I was passionate about this. Every time a question came up, I said, does it keep us on time and on budget? If the answer was yes, we would do it. If the answer was no, I said, let's think about it or no. That was how we established it. I loved that team of professionals that we had. Rob Harris was our construction manager. Will Nolan led Section 1, that's the interchange. Jeremiah Littleton had Section 2, that was our bridges. Kyle Parks came in later and helped him. Section 3 was Dave Kessinger. He got to deal with the Indiana folks after coming off the Milton Madison, so that was a great fit. Another bridge project that we had with Indiana. Ben Baker was on there, Megan McLean, and so many others, and that was just our KYTC folks. That's just a small portion of our KYTC folks. I loved leading that team. So let's talk about the why. So that was my passion. That was the what. The why was a simple as it had to get done. It had to be built. That was the why. Why are you going to do this? Well, because we have to. Does anybody know why Forrest Gump put that rifle back together so quick? That's right. And he was hailed as a genius. It's a simple why. And it's just a simple why, and if you can get behind it, that what becomes so much more possible. So, my passion, after understanding my why, my passion was pretty easy to manifest after that. And the thing about passion, what makes it a passion, is that it doesn't really confine to your boundaries, right? It doesn't clock out with you. It comes home with you. It kind of gets brought up at the dinner table too frequently. It gets brought up every time you go past another bridge. It says, hey, look, we're building something like that, or, oh, man, they're doing that wrong. And not everyone is as passionate about your passion as you are, right? Especially someone that you're married to. And so it consumed me. And that was just when I was deputy project manager. When Valentine retired and I became project manager, man, I really cranked it up. I mean, I really felt the pressure. I wanted to do this. This is what I was working for KYTC to do, to deliver the Ohio River Bridges project. And after a couple years, it seemed like such a long time, but it flew by. I became extremely comfortable in that role. I could operate. I was in the flow in that role. That was where I was most comfortable. I'd stretch a little bit, challenge myself a little bit, but that I knew what I was doing there. But then I became a father, and the way I pursued my passion changed. It had to, right? I was working 14-hour days, 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, I'm fiddling with spreadsheets and dealing with emails and trying to stay on top of stuff. And that's no way to raise a sweet little daughter like my Molly Bell. So I had a real soul-searching conversation with my wife. And I realized that I had resources. I had tons of resources that I wasn't using. And I realign my priorities pretty quickly with some help. And this was in the middle of the largest construction project that KYTC's ever undertaken by, at the time, a factor of 10. It was a $900 million project. And midstream, I learned to delegate. Well, I was forced to delegate. I learned to trust, and I learned to let go. And I became a better leader because of it. I became happier because of it. I mean, I found out I was the log jam, and that hurt my feelings so bad. I was so upset with that. And when Ken Sperry came up and said, hey, man, just tell me what to do. And I said, can you take care of all these submittals? Done. That was it. Overnight, 14-hour days went to 7.5-hour days. And the project got better. The project team got better. And I got to spend time with my little girl and my wife. And that was great. So when I learned to let go and trust, I watched some incredible people do some incredible things. And this was what Jeremiah and Will and Dave and Rob and everyone else on that team, what they were able to accomplish midstream, because they had the latitude to do what they needed to do. It was pretty remarkable. And it got us to a project that was ahead of schedule and under budget. My new role was not to control everything, but just set the course. That's all I had to do. I just had to set the course and make sure that what we were doing kept us where we were needed to go, and kept us following that what and why. And the lesson of following my passion without letting it overwhelm my life has made all the difference. It really has. I don't know if it counts as a passion anymore, but maybe my passion at work, right? Not my passion home, but it's my passion at work. So I've put some constraints and some boundaries on it. And it was a difficult lesson to learn. But you have to be accepting of praise and criticism. People aren't very good at accepting both. Just treat it as information. Treat it as data points. Let it guide you. And don't take it personal, as hard as that is. Just keep in mind that you're never as bad as they say you are, but you're also never as good. So remember that. We beat Indiana, so can I get a round of applause for that? Yeah. That's right. We finished an incredible, hopefully once in a lifetime project, on time and on budget. So it was a win all around. Now, here's the thing. Valentine warned me of this. It's called the come down. And I said, you're nuts. I'm going into Frankfurt. I'm going to be working with all these people. You may have had to come down, Gary, but not me. All right, so the come down hit, and it's a real thing. When your what and why has been addressed, and you identify yourself, as I did, with that what and why, and it's done, you're kind of left out there a little bit rudderless, unless you're ready for it. So it's very important to know this, recognize this, and find a new why. So today in my current role, the state highway engineer, I've been off the Ohio River bridges since, 2 years, May of 2016. And my why has changed. In fact, I'm still trying to define it a little bit. Don't let that freak you out. It freaked me out a little bit until I realized it's okay. We have an incredible department. The Department of Highways is fantastic, and we've been challenged with a whole lot of stuff. And our folks continue to deliver when resources are either changed, modified, or sometimes eliminated. And I'm so proud of what we've been able to do. We are blessed by so many skilled and brilliant minds. And now I find myself, I'm more excited to facilitate others' whys and whats and their passions if it supports our mission statement, right? To deliver roads and bridges and maintain them. I love seeing John Moore and Paul Looney work on shift. What John has been able to do is shift from his days at District 4 and bring that into fruition and getting us a balanced highway plan for the first in 20 years. That's pretty incredible. And I don't know what I did to facilitate that, if only just cheering it on. I enjoyed that immensely. Watching Jason Sawala go after something, when all he needs from me at sometimes is sure, sounds great, go ahead. Boom. He's got it taken care of. And see Marshall over there. Or Marshall Carrier, Royce Meredith, and Gary Valentine are embarking on right now. I'm a little jealous. I'm not going to have a role in that, a big role like they are, but they're tackling 1,000 bridges in 6 years. And all of y'all, I suspect, will have some kind of touch in that program, whether you realize it or not. That's a huge endeavor, and that's awesome. So what I want to impart here to this group is your roles are likely going to change at some point. If you're in this conference, you are likely looking to advance your career, so keep it up. When your why is understood and you realize you have the power to affect your what, you can become a battering ram. And KYTC needs battering rams. So go out and be a battering ram. Thank you all for coming today. And please learn from the rest of the speakers, take good notes on them, and apply some of what you learn. Thank you.